Hey everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Spotlight North Carolina Cooperative Extension. North Carolina Cooperative Extension is comprised of two land-grant universities, NC State University and NC State University. I'm your host, Rebecca Benton, and today I have with me special guest Meleah Evers. Meleah, thank you for being on the show with us.
So glad to be with you.
Now, you've got a special treat for our audience today.
I do.
Tasty recipe.
It is one of my favorite chili recipes. I call this a 5-bean chili.
Okay.
So it's really simple to make, really delicious, and you can kind of jazz it up, and make it your own a little bit, but to your flavor profile. But it's really kind of simple, but it's really easy and good.
Now, what's one of the reasons why we want to put beans in our recipes?
Well, if you incorporate more beans, you of course increase your fiber intake. You also can get some protein from the beans as well. And it's a good source, and you're not consuming maybe as much meat as you normally would. I do have meat in this chili, but you can, kind of do more or less depending on your taste.
Or you could probably go meatless with it as well.
You could probably even go meatless with it, and like I said, it gives you lots of fiber. It's pretty healthy. Of course, this time of year when things are a little cooler, having a nice warm soup to come home to in the crock pot is nice. To have supper already done.
What's that saying? Beans are good for the heart.
The more you eat, the more you...
Well, I wasn't going to go there.
Well, I always joke with my son, my oldest son, and told him that when he ate more beans, it was the musical fruit.
The musical fruit.
Yeah, so he thought that was hilarious. So that's how I got him to eat more beans.
Okay.
So whatever works, right?
This is true. So tell us a little bit about some of the beans we're going to put in our recipe today.
Like I said, I have 5 different beans. You can start with like a chili magic kind of starter thing. I don't have that, but I do have like some chili sauce that we can add to it. Like I said, you can change this and add to it, putting some chili powder in it. You can make it as hot as you'd like, if you'd like to put like hot sauce or jalapenos even, or top it with some jalapenos. So that's totally up to you, but we have red chili beans, we have pinto beans, we have baked beans. Okay. That's a little different for chili sometimes. We have northern beans, and we have kidney beans in our chili today. And then we have a couple cans of tomato sauce to go in there as well. Okay. So, and I've already cooked our hamburger meat ahead of time, and I'm gonna just open up our crock pot here. And I like to follow your tip and keep my liners inside my crock pot.
Yes.
So I always have them, and I like using these because it's a little bit easier for cleanup.
I always lose my liners or I misplace them, but if I stick them when I clean my crock pot and I stick them inside, it's like I always remember.
Right. And you have them when you need them.
Yep, and that was a tip from my mother-in-law, so she gave me, that was a good tip that she gave me.
Yes, so I'm just going to go ahead and put our hamburger meat in here, and like I said, you can add onion or pepper, bell pepper, to your meat when you're cooking it to kind of give it some extra flavor. So it's not really rigid recipe here. Just kind of cook with your heart.
Now, this is kind of like a fix it and forget it recipe since you're putting in the crock pot.
Right.
So can you talk to our audience just a little bit about crock pot safety at home?
Well, oftentimes, if you're going to be cooking it for a long time, of course, you can probably put like certain roast and things like that in there raw. I typically like to sear my roast and things like that when I put them in there. It just kind of helps my mind, I guess, when I put them in there. And but you can, put already cooked meat. If you cook your meat ahead of time, you certainly don't have to keep it and cook it in the crock pot as long. This pretty much is just going to be to kind of warm it up.
Okay, all right.
But I do recommend, cooking your burger before you put it in your crock pot.
Now, how do you feel about leaving the crock pot on as you leave?
I've never had any issues with it. Some people may not like to do that because they're concerned about, fire risks. Certainly don't want to have a whole lot of other things plugged in. Or, probably have it hooked in. You want to probably have it hooked directly into your outlet and not like have cords.
No
and
drop
things.
cords or anything like that.
Yeah, I would be a little more leery of that. So I'm just adding our 2 cans of diced tomatoes. These are just regular diced tomatoes. You can do like a lower sodium option if you're trying to watch out for sodium. That's totally up to you and, like I said, your flavor preference.
And one thing I like to do with my cans when I'm at home, I always wash. I'm sure you've already done that, but I like to wash the top of my cans too before
Yes,
I
and
open
I did
anything.
wipe these down before I opened them.
Just
so I did that
a
ahead
quick
of time.
tip. You never know when you're going into the grocery store, like who's touched the cans, who's put them back,
Or what rodent might have been on it,
Well, I try
or
not to think
dust
there's
or
rodents
dirt.
in the grocery store, but I guess there
Well,
could
It
be.
could have been in a warehouse. You
Yeah,
never know.
that's true. That's true. These are packaged and then shipped to us. So.
Yes. So, like I said, I did wipe these off before hand. These are our.
And you don't drain none of these beans. You just go
No,
straight in.
I don't drain
Okay.
any of the beans because this is, what's going to kind of give us our liquid. Still got some beans stuck down
Shake
at
it.
the bottom. I don't know if the spoon will fit. Yeah, it will. Okay. Get all of our beans in there.
I do have to say, I had never tried a 5-bean chili recipe until I went to your house one night. I think it was New Year's Eve. You had made this, and you actually added butter beans in there as well. And so now every time I make chili, I put beans and I add butter beans to mine because that was
Yeah.
like one of my favorite things. This is years ago.
These were like beans that I had on hand at the house. Like I said, you can change it up a little bit if you,
Yeah.
want to. But I always think that another one is the baked beans are a little different.
I've never used baked beans in there, or with already pre-seasoned stuff. I
Right.
do use Chili Magic in mine, but that is interesting because I'm interested to see how that's going to taste with the baked beans.
I think it probably just gives it a little sweeter taste, maybe. I mean, these are original baked beans, but
They have a little bit of a barbecue flavor to them.
yeah. Let's see. Ooh.
Well, we never said we were not messy cooking.
Right. This does make a pretty full crock pot full of chili.
And what are some other beans that you've used in the past that you've really enjoyed?
Well, I mean, this is pretty much the basic. I do like to do sometimes the dark and the light
Kidney beans.
kidney beans, just because it gives different colors to your chili and makes it a little, I think,
Absolutely.
prettier
Oh, yeah.
when you have different colored beans in there.
Right. And like I said, this is very easy. Fix it, forget it,
Right.
and then come back to it. How long
Right.
do you think this will take to cook?
In the crock pot, you could probably
heat up.
put it on, if you're trying to do it a little bit faster, you could probably heat it up for an hour on high, a couple of hours maybe on low.
Okay.
If you're wanting to leave it longer, you could probably just keep it on warm.
I'm gonna start
Once you get it
stirring
hot,
this.
start stirring this
Stirring
for
it up.
us.
Absolutely. I mean, this fiber is going to help with what, digestion?
Oh yes, fiber is really good, and oftentimes we don't get enough fiber, and we get that, of course, from our beans and also fruits and vegetables. If you don't eat a lot of fiber, I will say don't go off and try to eat a whole lot to start, eating more fiber, kind of build up gradually. And like I said, this recipe does make quite a bit. So if you have a small household and don't have a lot of people or don't think you'll eat this whole pot of chili fairly quickly in, like a couple of days, you can go ahead and put it in some small bowls that you can stick in the freezer that you can pull out and
That's a good idea.
freeze so you can enjoy soup.
I wonder if this is like a recipe you
throughout
could
the
actually
next
meal
few
prep with,
months. I would think so, yeah.
because it makes a very large amount.
Right.
And you
So
can put
you
it-
can, like I said, put what you're not going to consume
Yeah.
in the next couple of days in bowls and put it in the freezer. You can keep this, if you keep it refrigerated after, you serve it, take it off the heat, and you go ahead and store it in the refrigerator, then you can keep this for up to 7 days in the refrigerator.
Even with the ground beef in there? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as long as it's refrigerated and not left sitting out, you can keep it up to 7 days. Now, if you're going to put it in the freezer, you don't have 7 days once you take it out. If you leave it in the refrigerator for, like, say, 2 days before you put some in the freezer.
Let's talk about reheating, because this is something that I learned a long time ago, was about the reheating rule. So once you reheat something, what has to take place with that?
So, like, once you cook it, that's, heating it one time. And then if you're reheating it for leftovers, if you've already heated it, you don't put it back in the refrigerator and then heat it up again, because you're more likely to get food poisoning and, make somebody sick.
Right.
You don't want to do that. It might save you a trip to urgent care or the emergency room.
So just heat it. So basically what I learned about that, what I like to do is just pull out what we're going to use and heat that amount up if I want to still keep my food, because, I mean, let's just be honest, groceries are extremely expensive.
They are, and that's why I say, go ahead, if you're not going to eat this whole pot of chili, go ahead and bowl some up and put it in the freezer so you can heat it up and have it for later. And it's, leftovers that you don't have to eat for the next 7 days. It's leftovers that you can eat over the next month or so.
I like chili, trust me, it's one of my favorites, but I don't know that I want to eat it every night for 7 days.
No, I think you'd be a little tired of it after, a couple of meals. Usually it's better after, it sits and cooks for a while. So it's one of those foods that's kind of better the next time you heat it up.
Yes, like spaghetti.
Right, kind of like spaghetti. Because I know you made some chili, and we had a lot, and we had it later for burgers, and it was even better when we had it with the burgers.
Oh, yeah, well, we camping. Yep.
So, and like I said, you can add some, extra chili sauce, or if you have chili powder, and want to put some extra hot sauce in there, you can flavor it up like you like. You can top it with something like cheese or sour cream. Have, your saltines, jalapenos. So you can do like a little chili bar with it.
Yes.
That's always good. And
olives are good on a chili bar as well.
Yes, olives are good. Always good if you like black olives.
Yes.
Or even green olives. So you
can make lots of fun with this.
Right.
I've done a chili bar before. We've put jalapenos, olives. We've done different cheeses, different crackers to go on it or with it, and cornbread.
Right. You could even serve it with, if your kids like corn chips or nachos or like
that's
scoops.
true, like scoops. It would work well with that.
Even with baked potatoes. So you could do
baked
baked potatoes with a side and kind of top it with that, or have it on the side. So
that's true.
You can do lots of things with chili, and like I said, it's a great cold weather dish, especially this time of year. Of course, later, I didn't get a chance to make it ahead of time, but I'm going to make some cornbread muffins so we can enjoy those. And that's just a bag mix that you can mix with egg.
Use any brand.
Yeah, and I've had some that you just add water to that were delicious. That one you do the milk and eggs, add that to the mix, but
I'm lazy when I make cornbread. It's usually just water and go. I might add some cheese in it though.
You can.
Or some real corn.
Corn, yeah.
Some actual corn, some real corn, and some cheese in it. I put that in it before.
Or you can get the one that's got the corn and the peppers and pimentos, and put it in the cornbread.
Okay.
Make like a Mexican cornbread.
That would be good
really
too.
Good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is the chili.
This is chili.
It's good. And tell everybody what it helps with, what it's good for your body.
Well, you're getting a good source of protein, and you're also getting a good source of fiber with this. The beans are not really high in sodium. You can get lower sodium options, like I said, with the tomatoes and maybe some of the beans. But there's really not a lot of sodium in these particular beans that I used today. So.
And you can pick and choose your beans. You don't have to use the ones you have here. It might be your 5 favorite beans.
Right. And like I said, I just kind of raided my pantry and used 5 cans of different beans that I had in my pantry. But these are typically ones that I do keep on hand just for this special 5 bean chili.
All right, Meleah, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing this delicious recipe. It is one of my favorites that you introduced to me years ago. So if anybody has questions about nutrition or about this particular recipe, how can they get up with you?
They can call the extension office, and our number is 641-3996 or 640-6605.
Yep. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank
Audience, thank y'all for tuning in to Spotlight North Carolina Cooperative Extension. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode.